Hello ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I sincerely do appreciate it. And in today's video, I'm super excited to be discussing my favorite discovery of 2020. And this one is by the company BDK and the fragrance is called Rouge Smoking. So make sure to stay tuned. So this fragrance was actually released back in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So I am a little bit late to the party. The company came out in 2016. They currently have 9 fragrances. I personally find them to be rather unisex, but I know that there are some of the collection that lean a little bit more feminine, some that lean a little bit more masculine as well. It is a Parisian brand, so they're based out of France, and their fragrances, or the concept of the brand, is inspired by the Palais Royal district of France. And this one that I have in front of me here, you can take a look at the really dark red crimson color juice inside, and you can sort of guess what the fragrance is going to smell like. And sure enough, this fragrance does contain a note of cherry that I find to be utterly spectacular. I know I did a video a few months ago, if I'm not mistaken, maybe about a month ago, where I was discussing my 5 favorite cherry fragrances, or maybe it was 6, but I was discussing my favorite cherry fragrances, and this is one that I would have hands down included in the list had I discovered this a little bit sooner. The perfumer for this fragrance is Amélie Bourgeois, fantastic catalog of fragrances that were created by that perfumer as well. And so this is a company that I'm really excited to delve into a little bit more. All of the information is going to be down below if you're interested in picking it up for a pretty good price. I know they're available at Max Aroma. This is not a video that's sponsored by Max Aroma, by the way, but I'm just really excited to discuss this fragrance with you guys. So let's go ahead and start things off by taking a close look at the presentation. So the box for this fragrance just has the name of the company, the name of the fragrance, and then all of the notes listed here on the front, and this is Eau de Parfum concentration. And the box has a little cutout here on the right that opens up, and you can see the silhouette of the bottle right on the inside. It rests in there very comfortably. And the side of the box is really cool. It's like the spine of a book, and it also looks like a dictionary entry with the pronunciation key towards the top, and it gives a definition of the fragrance written in French. And the back of the box just has the distribution information, a few warnings, and then all of your necessary logos, as well as the lot number written towards the bottom. The bottle for this fragrance is quite gorgeous. It has this label that wraps around the side here. You see on the left side, it has the name of the fragrance, BDK, written on the front, and it has this deep red hue inside. And the top of the cap has the BDK logo engraved into it, and the lot number may also be located on the very bottom of the bottle. The cap for this fragrance does click into place very securely. Feel free to pick it up from the cap if you wish. And the distribution on the atomizer is very wide, and it has a pressurized atomizer so you can control how much you want to spray. Wow, and that smells incredible. Let's continue with the smell. Wow, so as soon as this fragrance opens up, and I must say, this is one of my favorite discoveries of 2020, despite the fact that this fragrance came out a couple of years ago. Just the overall smell is just so incredible, and I love the way that this one comes off. It opens up with this really nice, juicy cherry note that is not overwhelming, and it's not sickly sweet. It doesn't smell like a cherry liqueur or like a syrupy texture or anything like that. I know Tom Ford's Lost Cherry kind of has a reputation of doing that. You're not necessarily going to get that with this particular fragrance, but it opens up in a very sort of slightly sweet but very sensual way. That's why I said very, because I was getting to the word sensual. It's a very romantic, very sort of seductive, sultry sort of a fragrance. And if you read the narrative behind this one, it's like a woman putting on her lipstick, I think, getting ready to hit the stage for a performance, being inspired by like a tuxedo that is in the room. And you can kind of imagine that. And I always like it when brands create this narrative around the fragrances that lets you really identify with the fragrances on a deeper level. And I really appreciate BDK's sort of creativity and inspiration when it comes to that. Now, that cherry note is not the totality of this fragrance. It opens up with this really gorgeous cherry note, but then you very quickly have this pink pepper note. And what it does is it doesn't smell spicy at all to my nose. It actually comes across smelling a little bit rosy, and I feel like the combination of the cherry and that rosy appeal really extends the sensuality way into the mid and the dry down of the fragrance. And so this comes across as a very sort of romantic fragrance. And the fact that it contains that rosy appeal, whenever I think of florals, I think of fragrances that are very appropriate for the springtime. And so I do think that despite the color of the juice and how strong it might look like it is, I think it could be pulled off in the springtime very comfortably. Now, one of the benefits of this fragrance is that you can actually find all of the notes listed right on the front of the box. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read them off. So there is a cherry accord, there is bay rose, which is pink pepper, there is Italian bergamot, vanilla, dark vanilla, it says vanille noir, tonka bean, ambroxan, cashmeron, labdanum, and white musks. And so you are gonna get a lot of those sweet elements. And so that sweetness that you get in the opening does linger in the base as well, because there is this undercurrent of vanilla and tonka bean. I would venture to say that the vanilla is a little bit stronger, just because I'm quite familiar with the smell of tonka bean. I think it's used in a lot of mass marketed designer fragrances nowadays, whether we're talking about like an Invictus Aqua, Versace Eros. But I think in this fragrance in particular, you're gonna get more so of that vanilla that's in there. And it just adds to that layer of sensuality, but also complexity as well. It's not a simple fragrance. It's not a linear fragrance. It does change up quite a bit. And honestly, I love this fragrance so much. And this is one of the fragrances that I immediately fell in love with. There is another one called Wood Jasmine, which is probably tied for my favorite from the brand. If anything, that might be in like the #2 spot, but I can't speak highly enough of this fragrance. Now, for a layman, if you are not familiar with too many other fragrances and you want a very simple comparison, the best way that I can describe this is imagine a niche version of Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf, but with cherry. That's the best way that I can describe it. Not to say that it smells like Spice Bomb. There's something in there that kind of gives me like a subtle hint or a nuance of Spice Bomb, but it's done in such a different way. And I think we've seen so many niche level fragrances kind of express their own take on Spice Bomb. Like there's I think it's called 1899 Hemingway by Histoire de Parfum. That one kind of falls within that line. A couple other niche fragrances as well, which are not coming to mind, but I know they're out there. So this one does things in such a different way while still kind of giving me that sort of tobacco, pink pepper, vanilla thing that's also going on in Spice Bomb. But this is all in all such a unique fragrance. I love the versatility of it. I love the way that it smells. I love the creativity that is in this fragrance. And this is one that I'm gonna be wearing a lot. So I've actually had my wife try a few fragrances that I acquired recently, not just from this brand, but from other brands as well. And this is one of the ones where she smelled it and she says, "Can you please leave this out on the counter, or on the dresser rather?" And I said, "Why?" She goes, "I may wanna wear it sometimes." So I think that that speaks to the fact that this one is a rather unisex fragrance, or a woman will smell it and she'll say, "You know what? I could see myself wearing this totally." And I think it's really the inclusion of like the pink pepper, that rosy nuance, the vanilla, and also that really tart, subtly sweet cherry that's found in the opening that makes it so. So let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I certainly do find this to be a unique fragrance. If I can make a very subtle comparison, it would be to Spice Bomb by Viktor and Rolf. But I think we've seen nowadays that so many fragrances out there kind of fall within that DNA. And I think that, you know, there's only certain materials out there available to the disposal of a perfumer. And so inevitably, there's always going to be a note that you pick up in there that you say, "Oh yeah, this kind of reminds me of this," or XYZ fragrance. And so this is unique. Obviously, it has all of these ingredients that I spoke about, and the combination of all these ingredients really creates a unique and one of my favorite fragrances, and definitely my best discovery of 2020. I'm so happy to have this in my collection right now. The longevity on this fragrance is about 8 hours. Just the projection is not going to be super loud. So the fragrance does linger on your skin for a long time. In my opinion, it is strongly concentrated. Even from an objective standpoint, it is strongly concentrated, but the projection is about 1.5 to 2 hours, and I don't think it ever radiates beyond an arm's length. So this is more of like an intimate, close encounter sort of a fragrance, and that's kind of what I'm looking for with my fragrances. I don't necessarily want a beast mode fragrance that's going to enter the room before I do, that's going to be cloying, that's going to choke somebody out, that's going to last upwards of 24 hours. Like, like, that's not really realistic. I want to be able to wash it off at some point. And so the longevity and the projection for this one is on par with my expectations and my preferences. Versatility on this one is great. I think it works best in the intermediary seasons. I think it would work really well in the springtime, like I said, because of that rosy appeal and the cherry, especially if it's a brisk night and you have a subtle chill in the air. I think it would work really well in the spring. And then also in the fall, on account of that mildly spicy thing that's going on in here, but perhaps in the summer it might be overkill, especially on a really hot day. But I can also see somebody pulling this off on a slightly warm winter night or winter evening as well. I think this one would work well for anybody of any age. I think it's completely unisex, thus earning a lot of points for the versatility. The presentation for this one, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, from the cap design to the box to just all the little nuances that characterize the presentation. My final verdict on this one, I know I said it 4 times already throughout the course of this review, it's my favorite discovery of 2020. It's 100% one of the fragrances that I'm going to be wearing a lot over the next few weeks and potentially months, because I know summer officially starts on, what is it, June 21st of 2020, but I think that as long as it remains slightly chilly outside, I can see myself pulling this off rather comfortably, especially if you're in a climate controlled environment. If I'm going to be at home, which most of us are nowadays, unless we're essential workers, I'm gonna be wearing this a lot for sure. So I love this fragrance. I hope there's some way that you can get a sample of it. I know the price is fairly inexpensive for a niche brand, especially a brand of this quality. All the information is gonna be down below if you're interested in discovering more about the brand. And I think this is a spectacular new brand, or one that is new to me rather. It's been out since 2016, but the fact that it's available at some of the biggest department stores out there, I think really gives the brand credence, but it also speaks to the quality and the value that you're getting from a product like this. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely do appreciate it. That was my review of Rouge Smoking by BDK. If you own or have tried this fragrance, or as a matter of fact, any other fragrance from this company, I would love to know what you think. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Also, if you are new to this channel and you did take something of value from this video, I would sincerely appreciate it if you could support this channel and what I have been doing for the past 8 years by clicking on that red subscribe button in the corner. And also, please don't forget to click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This way, whenever I do upload future fragrance related content, it'll get delivered straight to your feed and you never need to worry about missing any of my future uploads. And of course, that includes fragrance reviews just like this, giveaways, unboxings, top 10 videos, and a whole lot more. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. We'll see you soon. Bye.